Hey everybody, this is Dave here, and with Survivor 46 coming up real soon, I decided to make a little overview video of Survivor 45. I'm going to talk about the characters' gameplay, their personality, and the overall idea of how I feel about this cast. Well, first thing I want you to know, I like all the cast people, I like all of the cast people for who they are, mostly. And I'm going to just say a general view on their gameplay and nothing else. So with that, let's get started. I know a lot of people are going to hate on Hannah, and I understand that because quitting is not something really appreciated in the Survivor community, and I get that, but there was a couple of mistakes that I made that I think she would have done better, like, maybe weaning off the cigarettes a bit. But at the end of the day, besides the other quit, which I will get to later in the season, I feel like she had the decency to be like, hey, I know I don't want to be here, and I know people are not going to like me for my decision, but hey, I'm not going to let someone else go home because they really want it, so at least she did took the respectable approach. Even though it might have not been the, most respected move, I still respect Hannah for that. So overall, I'm going to give her a 3 out of 10 for gameplay, 3 out of 10 for challenge strength, and overall player, I'll give her 2. So she gets a 8 out of 30 in my opinion. The next person we have is Brandon Dillon, also on the Yellow Lulu Losers team. Well, Brandon, how do I say this? I love Brandon as a character. He had a lot of passion, he had a lot of drive, he really wanted to be in there. But at the end of the day, his challenge performance just really didn't excel to where it needed to be, aka the ladder, and then falling off the challenge, and then struggling with the mental puzzle, mine with a lot of the Hannah stuff at the beginning. He was just such a liability to the team, and I feel like if they had given him another chance, but it probably wasn't going to happen. Like, if Hannah maybe quit, they might have had, if Hannah didn't quit that round and Emily went home, that means that Brandon might have been saved, but I think he still would have gone home at the Survivor boat. But if he might have made it to the merge, I think he might have been a great player because no one's going to think he's a threat because he can't do challenges. And I think he might have a better shot with the merge stuff. But overall, character-wise, he gets a 5 out of 10, mainly because he just struggled with a lot of things. Gameplay-wise, I'll give him a 5 out of 10 again, and challenge-wise, 1, bringing him to a total of 11 out of 30. The next character we have is Sabaya Broderick. Sabaya Broderick was on the Lulu tribe, and man, that was a dumpster fire of a team. She really had no struggles up until the Caleb vote, being in the Power Alliance with Caleb. She did really well in the Sweat versus Savvy challenge, and she really was a really likable figure in her team, besides with Emily. But she also had an idol that she was given to by Brandon, and it was stuck in a candle, so she didn't have a vote for a while. And she also had good relationships with Emily, Brandon, I think Hannah maybe, then we had Caleb and Sean, so she was basically liked by everyone, even though she had some weird talks about aliens for some reason. Her biggest mistake, I'd have to say, was the Caleb vote. No doubt about it. The first thing she made was that Caleb should not have been going home. The best vote would be Emily or maybe Sean, because I have no idea what Sean was doing, and he might have wanted to go home anyway, because that's what Sean was thinking. But, as I was saying, you probably should not go for Caleb there. Caleb will be taken out at the merge, as we see later, and your tribe needs team strength. And then when she tried to take him out, her second mistake was trusting Emily here. Not saying anything on Emily's part, but she was not caring about Emily and Caleb's relationship. Sabaya's like, hey, we're going to vote out Caleb, and without thinking about how Emily and Caleb have been hanging out, leading to her mistake when Emily flips on her and sends her home. She maybe should have focused on her relationship with Emily a bit more and maybe tried not blindsiding Caleb there. I honestly don't know. But overall, she gets a 7 for team strength, a 7 in like being a good social player, and a 7 in character. So in total, she gets a score of 21 out of 30. So overall, a really solid character. The next character is Sean Edwards. Oh boy, I have another quitter to talk about. And this one I'm not as happy about, so I'll talk about his gameplay before I get mad or annoyed. But anyway, Sean started off on the Lulu tribe and he made it to the swap, which would have been good, but we already had a red flag, and that was how little of an edit he got. Like, seriously, I barely knew Sean was on the worst tribe in the game. And that should be a problem, because that tribe was eating up most of the time on the TV, and I'm still getting nothing from Sean. Well, that'll be explained later, because after the Reba tribe gets a swap, they're swapped with J. Maya, D, Julie, Sifu, and Sean. Sean obviously looks at the bottom, but Sifu's antics are causing people not to trust him and wanting to get him home. So when they lose immunity, they have to go to tribal council, and Sean seemingly is in a good place on his tribe. And then Sean says he's done and wants to go see his husband, which is great and all, except he is not going home. He is going to Ponderosa. And Ponderosa is just basically a paradise and not going to be anywhere near his spouse or his home, which is confusing. But I don't understand this at all, or why he would just like make it romanticized and try to hide the fact that he's doing a quit, and it just really tarnishes his reputation, especially since the fact that I didn't really see any strategic play, and I feel like he was just ready to give up. So character-wise, I'll give him a 4. Challenge-wise, I'll give him a 6, because he did good helping Brandon up the ladder. And for just social benefits overall, a 4. So at the end of the day, he gets a 14 out of 30, which is okay, but, you know, quitters. Next, we have Brando Meyer on the Bello tribe, the first person who's actually not a Lulu to go home. Wow. Basically, a tribe swap happened, and he was sent back to Bello with his best friend Kendra and 2 other members, Reba, which were Drew and Austin, and then the Lulu of Emily. And from all the stuff I've heard and from what is going on, he was in a really bad situation. He didn't get a chance to look at his advantage in the buff, which was taken from him when he got to the tribe, so that was not a good idea. But anyway, what happened was basically Emily had already gotten to meet Kendra when Kendra had to do the secret twist where she was sent over to the Lulu tribe. Kendra met everybody and she kind of formed a relationship with Emily. That's a problem, and you'll see later. Then, while she's on the new Bello tribe, she meets Austin and Drew, and it gets to really get to know them. And my thing is that I feel like Bello should have been talking to them sooner from what it seems like, because it seems like Reba just got there faster to talk to Emily, which was a really bad play on their part. But anyways, tribal council happens and the group is split half and half. And here's what we know. Austin has an advantage, an idol. Drew has an advantage, safety without power. And Kendra has a relationship with Emily. So who is Emily most likely to vote? Brando, because 2 of them have an advantage that makes them immune. And then we have Kendra, who has a relationship with Emily, leaving Brando in an unwinnable situation. So at the end of the day, yeah, he just got destroyed by the swap at the end of the day. And I honestly don't know what much he did besides the Sweat versus Savvy, because I didn't really see much of them on the screen. So at the end of the day, Brando Meyer gets a 7 for strategic play, mainly because he tried, and he tried getting in with Drew, and that was a good play. And I really think he could have been a good player if he just didn't have bad luck at the cards. He also gets a 5 for social play because he was just mid there. And at the end of the day, he was just a general 5 character. So at the end of the day, he gets a 17 out of 30. Next, we have J. Maya on the Reba tribe. Her game started off pretty solid, being on the Reba tribe. Only problem, she was on the bottom with Sifu. And another problem, she didn't like Sifu. But she did show a lot of strategic play for the short time she was there. because she did try to solve the puzzle even though she didn't have the clue, which was smart and a good initiative on her. She thought she was in the women's alliance with Dee and Julie, which happened when basically they had the tribe swap, I think, and she was outing for Sifu. But she did show a lot of mistakes, like saying, "Hey, I'm gonna throw myself under the bus, and so we can get out Sifu," by saying I throw out his name, just giving Dee more room to just not have any target on her. So she did give herself problems there. And honestly, when the merge happened, it was a lot of chaos because the Reba wanted to get rid of her because they didn't trust her, which I honestly thought was a bad decision because A, they're giving their numbers, and B, Sifu is more of an unreliable person. When J Maya says, "Hey, I'm going to work with you, Rebus, and stick with you guys to the end." Meanwhile, we had a really crazy first merge vote. As right after the singer-songwriter, we have the push hands, martial artist guitar, Sifu. Sifu struggled from the beginning, even though he was on the dominant tribe. He had a lot of suspicion on him, as he was already looking for idols and trying to hide in bushes like he was Tony Vlacho's, which was kind of rubbing his tribe the wrong way. And all the crazy antics were not giving him a lot of likes. And that what caused him more problems is even when I saw tribe swaps and merge happens, it didn't really seem like he was getting a lot of friends. He was just kind of there. He tried playing his idol, and at the end of the day, they just voted him out because he was unpredictable. I don't have much to say about Sifu because he didn't really have a good social game. I think that was his main flaws. He didn't make the social connections, which kind of left him isolated, which made him an easy one to get rid of. So Sifu's social overall, I'm gonna give it a 3. His challenge performance was a solid, so I'll give it a 6. And overall gameplay, I'll give it a 4, so a 12 out of 30. Next, we have the Canadian Batman himself, Caleb Jebberwald. One of the best players, if not the best players, on the Lulu tribe. His social game was on point, his relationships were on point, and he was a good challenge player. He made a lot of bonds with people, and he was just a general likable guy. That was his main flaw. Everyone at the merge, and even on the post-merge, like pre-merge, before we even got there, Sabaya was already targeting because of how likable he was. Everyone knew this, and that put a huge target on his back. And everyone was just super eager to get him out, which I don't think was a good decision. Keep him around to like 8 as a meat shield or something. But anyway, Caleb was just dead in the water as soon as he got into the merge. And he tried saving himself by throwing Dee under the bus, which was not a good decision. And at the end of the day, he took the Hail Mary shot, and he made it just to get blindsided by Katura next round. So at the end of the day, he was a great character. He helped Emily learn to be herself and just be kinder. He was a great guy. He was compassionate and just a great person. And his strategic game was on point, but he just failed to hide his strategic, like, social gameplay. And it just backfired with his threat level. So at the end of the day, I'm going to give him a 10 for the social game. I'm going to give him an 8 for the challenges. And overall character, I'm going to give him a 6. Bring his total to 24 out of 30, which may or not be the best score I have for this season. Next, we have Bruce's number 1 girl. It's Kelly. Kelly was on the Bello tribe, and she basically befriended everyone on the tribe. She was in alliance with Kendra and Katura. She was in alliance with Brando. She was on good terms with Jake and Bruce. And at the end of the day, she was really social. She also did good on Lulu when they had the tribe swap, and she really was even willing to ditch Katura for a while to fit in with the group, even hiding a secret, and still didn't get any heat from Katura, which I don't understand. I guess she just didn't tell her. I don't know. But anyway, when the merge hit, everyone saw how close Bruce was to her, and assumed, oh yeah, Kelly is on good terms with Bruce, which wasn't true, and Kelly didn't do much to hide this fact, which caused her to struggle because everyone's like, oh, it's Bruce's number 1. In the end, this ended up being her demise as they voted her out to weaken Bruce, which they did. But that was basically all I can say for Kelly. I didn't see her do much besides that. And she had an okay strategic game, but what she really excelled was being a social butterfly. I'm gonna give her an 8 for being social, and 6 for challenges because she won one, and because she was a pretty good over character, I'm gonna give her a 4, giving her an 18 out of 30 on the score. I'm gonna be honest, I think Bruce got way too much hate for the game he played. He was really strategic in the beginning, kind of, trying to not be the leader and trying to really socially bond with people. But what he didn't realize is that you can't be like a one size fits all with people. You really gotta adapt to how people are, and just trying to be the funny guy is gonna irk people. Like Katura, which is his main flaw in the game, was Katura and how much he disliked her. No one really thought Bruce was that annoying to beginning during all of the pre-merge. He was relatively liked. He made smart decisions like choosing not to go get the advantage because he knew he wasn't good at puzzles. And he was overall a powerhouse in the beginning. But when the merge hit and he got the idol, something switched and everyone's like, I don't like Bruce anymore. And they wanted to vote him out. And he had an idol, which was a big problem. And also the fact that he was quite a challenge beast, beating like 2 or 3 immunities and getting himself to a very high power position in the game. Even getting out Caleb because that was his plan to try to do it. Even though it failed, it was a good plan, even though it was way too early. Anyways, Bruce had one decision that defines his game, and that was choosing to not play his idol. I still don't understand why, but if he felt like he was secure enough with Emily, I feel like that was just him getting tricked. And that's the only really flaw I have to say about Bruce's game is like he already had a bad relationship with Emily, so trusting her there was maybe not the best decision. But overall, I'm gonna give him a 6 on the social game. I'm gonna give him a 7 on the physical game, and I'm gonna give him a 5 overall, bringing his total to 18 out of 30. Next on the list, we have Kendra. Kendra was also in the Bello tribe and made a great relationship with Katura and Kelly, as all the girls just liked each other and were just best friends. But she struggled with Bruce later on. I think it was mainly Katura. But she did seem to have a relationship with Jake, which is confusing because all this time it seems from the edit that it looks like she has a great relationship with Jake. But from what I've heard, she thought he was a crazy person. But it seems really weird because it seemed like she helped Jake at the fire, and then she didn't want to vote Jake out later. It was weird, but at the end of the day, she was an alright character. I don't have much to talk about. The only real flaw was just throwing out Dee's name. If she didn't do that, I feel like she would have stayed in the game further, but I'm not sure if she should have won or would have won. I'm gonna give her a 7 on the character chart because of how crazy and just fun she was. Even though she got a little bit annoying for me, she was still a fun character. Then I'm gonna give her a 5 for her challenge capabilities, and her social game was on point. So I'll give her a 7. So I'm gonna give her a 21 out of 30, which is honestly kind of high. The next person we have on the list is Julie. Julie was part of the Reba 4 Alliance and dominated most of the game because she was part of it. During the pre-merge, the only real problem she had to deal with was Sean J. Maya, and they weren't that hard to get rid of. Then Sifu went at the beginning of the merge, and then, as the game continued to progress, Julie was kind of forgotten about until Austin decided to give her his idol. That idol gave Julie power to do one good move in the game, and that was get rid of Emily. And I would give her a really high spot. Only problem is that it wasn't really her move. Right before, Austin had told Dee that they were going to vote out Julie, and Dee had leaked that to Julie, so Julie played the idol. It wasn't really her move, but Dee's strategic play that got her further. And at the end, I'm not sure she would have won, because if Dee was sitting in the end, she could have been like, hey, wait a minute, that wasn't her move, I told her to play the idol. So at the end of the day, I'm not really sure what Julie did, and she seemed way too passive. She was a good character, so I'll give her a 6. She had a good strategic game, so I'll give her a 6. And her challenge overall was a 4. So I'll give her a nice round score of 14. We have our 4th place player, Katura. Katura Tops was on the Bella tribe and was in the alliance with Kendra and Kelly, and also had a grudge against Bruce for the majority of the game until he was voted out. Her dislike of Bruce was mostly in her confessionals, as it took up 78% of her confessionals, almost 80, and that was all she talked about, so we didn't really get to see her strategic play. The problem happened at the Caleb vote where she could have saved him, but because no one told her right up to that moment that Bruce had an idol, she decided to flip at the last second to join the Reba 4 and vote out Caleb. This caused Jake problems later on, and this would not be the last time where Katura would make a move like this. Later on in the game, she had a really good moment where she talked about her family life and how far she's gotten to this point, and how far she had to get here to achieve her dreams and become a lawyer. Later, she had to make the move against Jake at the final 5, where she decided at the last second to flip her vote to Julie, which doesn't make any sense because she was the one who started to deal to begin with, and she had him swear on his nana. I get that she didn't trust, but the switch at the last second was not a good plan and ended up costing her game, as that led Julie to go home, and then Dee decided to put her in fire against Jake, and Jake took her out. Her main mistakes were getting too annoyed with Bruce, not trusting Jake at all, and then in the end, trusting the Reba Alliance more than she should have. So overall, I'm going to give her a strategic gameplay of 5, a challenge of 4, and I'm going to give her an overall character of 5, giving her a score of 14 out of 30. Next, we literally have the Charlie Brown from Boston, Jake. Jake struggled from the beginning. He was already passing out twice during just the pre-merge, and that showed his game was probably going to end that way too. He struggled to make social relationships, as it was very clear for me that he wasn't making a lot of bonding or relationships during the main part of the pre-merge, which cost him later on. He tried to vote out Julie, but because he didn't have a good enough relationship with Katura, it caused the plan to fail and have him be permanently at the bottom for most of the merge. He tried to take a shot in the dark. That failed, and then he got votes every round up into the Emily vote, where he was just on the bottom, and he tried and failed. The next thing was he found an idol, giving him a slight chance, and then he decided to blab in Austin and cause chaos, which led to Katura to flip her vote at the last second, leading to Julie going home. Another failure. And then the next thing that happened that caused him problems was at the challenge where he failed and broke it, causing him just more frustration over his already struggling game. The next thing I mentioned that he had to deal with was the final challenge of fire making, where he faced off and beat Katura. But at the end, no one respected his game, even though he really did survive and outlast. He struggled so much that no one was willing to give him the $1 million. We have the runner-up and alternate of the season, Austin Lee Kuhn. Austin started good. He was on a majority alliance. He had a number one. He had an advantage. It was doing all good. He blamed it on Sifu, who didn't have the idol but had a fake. He got rid of Sifu and J Maya. And then he also had a relationship with Emily. Then, the next thing he got an amulet advantage, which allowed him to get an idol after he got rid of J Maya and Kelly. So basically, he had so much good favor. And then the alliance was strong until he decided to fall in love with Dee. That was where his game tanked, because he had so much rose tinted glasses that he decided to tell the secret to Dee about Julie's idol and saying that they were going to vote out Julie, which ended up having Julie play her idol that night and send Emily home, which was one of his allies. Then Dee again betrays him again and votes out his closest ally, Drew. So now it's just him and G. And he still doesn't get this and still decides to work with her to the finale because of his Gaga glasses. The two of them work together, flirting the entire way and make it to the finale. But at the end, he fails to see that she was playing him the entire time. And she ended up winning, throwing him under the bus and taking her the finale. I'll give Austin a 6 for gameplay. For like challenges, I'll give him a 7 for strategy, and I'll give him a 5 for all character, giving him a score of 18 out of 30. Finally, we have the sole survivor of the season, Dee Valladares. She was dominant the entire game without even having to have an advantage. Her advantage was her social game and being in power. The whole time she was in the Reba 4 Alliance, and she helped them dominate, getting rid of Sifu and even having J Maya pin the blame on Dee's actions, being the fall guy for her. She also had 2 number ones in Austin and Julie, and her Reba Alliance really did really well. When it got to the merge, she threw Caleb under the bus when Caleb attacked her and tried to throw her under the bus, counteracting his move. Then she voted out Caleb, had Jake be under the ground for like most of the game, and then she and her alliance made it to the final 7, where she told Julie about Austin's plan and got rid of Emily because of Julie. Then she took out Drew, Austin's number 1, and still had Austin be her best ally. Then she had the best moves after getting a little lucky. She made it to the final 5, just surviving because of Katura's actions. Then we also had to talk about her 3 immunity wins, which because of her strength of her big toes. That helped her all get to the finale, where she was able to tell the jury, this is why I deserve to win, because I dominated, I didn't have to have any advantages, and I played with my heart. Overall, she was a solid strategist, so I'll give her a 10. Character-wise, she was a 6. In overall gameplay, I'll give her a 6, giving her a total of 24. And that's the end of the video. Overall, I enjoyed most of the cast of the season, even though we had some quitters. We had all really good players who were really strategic and were there to play. Some might have struggled more than others, Brandon and Jake. But at the end of the day, they had some really good gameplay, even when they did fail. And we had a lot of players really try hard, including Dee. Even though she kind of had a little bit of an easy streak, she really showed how dominant of a game she played. And overall, it was a really fun cast to watch and a season I would enjoy watching again. If you agree with me or disagree with me, please let me know in the comments. And remember to like and subscribe. Thank you for watching and have a great day.